So welcome everybody. I believe this is the fourth class, and thank you for attending this class. It's an important class, not important class. It's an important topic is covered in this class. So um, the Vedanta, the Bhagavad Gita, it has a structure. So it is very important that we study under a competent acharya. So here we are studying Shankara's Bhashya, and I am using the commentary of Swami Paramatmananda and also his teacher, Swami Dayananda. And this is how you get a lot of clarity and structure. Otherwise, it'll be very random and conflicting. So, and thanks to Swami Paramatmananda, this is now made available to us. Now, before we get started, so I just wanted to go through this, where we are in the Bhagavad Gita. So maybe I'll start with a few questions. It's not to quiz you or anything, but just to get people more involved. So first question. So what, a group of 6 chapters, what are they called? Anybody wants to answer? So the Bhagavad Gita we saw is divided into 3 portions of 6 chapters each. What is the group called? Anybody wants to answer? It's called a Shatkam. So the group, every group, and each group, each Shatkam has a certain main topic. So could somebody say what the main topic of the first Shatkam, the first 6 chapters is? Anybody wants to say? It's actually in one of the...
Nature of Jiva.
Yeah, that's Atma, correct. And what about the next, the middle 6 chapters?
Madhyama Shatkam is Ishvara Swarupam.
Yeah, Ishvara. It's about Ishvara.
Ishvara, it's about Ishvara.
And what is the final 6 chapters?
The final one is Jiva Ishvara Swarupa Aikyam.
Aikyam, yeah.
Aikyam.
Yeah. It is called Asi Padartham, or in English it is isness. The Jiva is Paramatma, so the isness. And we, throughout Vedanta, there's this common example of ocean and the waves. Waves are like the Jiva, ocean is like the Brahman. So, and there are many such examples that are used. And this is called the Mahavakyam. In the Upanishads, it's called Tat Tvam Asi. Asi is. So it is the great equation, Mahavakyam. So this says the equality between the Jiva and the Brahman. Now, Swami Paramatmananda, he very clearly says, you don't write an equation connecting two exactly same objects. You don't write 8 is equal to 8. You also don't write something which is completely different. You don't write 1 is equal to 1000. You write things that are seemingly different, but you think could be alike. And that is the Mahavakyam. It connects Jiva to Ishvara. Okay, so these are the 3 portions. Now, in the first portion we saw, so I'm always making sure we we understand that portion. So we saw in the first 6 portions, the main topic, of course, we know is Jiva, or the Atma. Then Krishna introduces a important topic of Karma Yoga. And here another small quiz. How many types of yogas are outlined in Vedanta? Anybody wants to take a guess and tell me what those are?
Is it Karma Yoga, Gnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga?
Yeah, so there are
Kriya.
only two yogas. So if you see, we've shown that before. There are only two yogas outlined in Vedanta. First is karma yoga to get Atma, Buddhi Shuddhi. And then once the mind is ready to receive the knowledge, it is you go into Jnana Yoga. So I think, yeah, 2 steps for liberation. So there is the Karma Yoga and the Jnana Yoga. Okay, so these are all the other meditation, everything is covered under Karma Yoga. So Krishna says that very clearly in the 3rd chapter. Okay, so there are only 2 yogas. The purpose of Karma Yoga is to make the mind steady for receiving the knowledge. Okay, so this is the overall, this is how it's organized. So there is Karma Yoga, and then there's another important concept of prayatna, which is the individual effort. So there is some things which are determined, we call it fate or daivam, things beyond our control. It's a prarabdha karma. It pushes us along a certain direction. But there is also individual effort. It's called prayatna. Yatna is effort, prayatna is proper effort. And this is given a lot of importance. We saw that before in the first chapter, in the first class we saw, before the war, it's not like they decided to Krishna decided to start the war, or the Pandavas decided to start the war like this. There was a lot of negotiation. They tried to ask for 5 villages. Duryodhana said no. 5 homes, no. 1 home with 5 rooms, no. I wouldn't even give you 5 grains of sand. So it is after all this that they decided to go for a war. Now, when before this war, Krishna goes as an emissary, right? He's to broker peace. At the time, Duryodhana tells him, Janami dharmam nachame pravrittihi, janami adharmam nachame nivrittihi. I know what dharma is. I know what proper action is, but I'm not able to do it. I also know what adharma is, but I am forced to do it. And he says, he blames it on the deva which lives inside him. It forces him to do things. So he just blames it on that. Now there is a fallacy in this. So he just blames it on God. But here the big problem is that he is not using the prayatna, his individual effort, to counter that. And later, Krishna will very clearly say, I am just like the silent observer. I sent you a note yesterday, right? So Krishna, the Bhagavan is compared like an ocean. And in the ocean, there are freight ships and there are also pirate ships. You can't blame the ocean for the pirate ships. It is just there. It is a big supporting medium. Similarly, there is light. We'll see that example today. In the presence of light, bad things happen. People commit robberies, all that. There are also surgeons operating in the presence of light. So light is just, it provides, it's a medium for action to take place. So this is how Vedanta is organized. So the prayatna. So these are the 3 important concepts in the first 6 chapter. Okay. And then in the 4th chapter, Arjuna's surrender, the Jnana Yoga, which is what we are seeing now, then Karma Yoga. So Krishna gives the highest knowledge in the beginning, Jnana Yoga. And then he knows that Arjuna is not ready, so he switches to Karma Yoga, which is how do you get the mind to settle down so it's ready for receiving the knowledge. And the last portion is Sthita Prajna, or the person of steady wisdom. So Teju ji, you had a question, so this is the portion which will cover all that. Okay, so with that, we will go pick up where we left. So Krishna starts talking about the Atma, different aspects of the Atma. Yesterday we saw a very important, a naughty shloka. You can think it is Naughty or Knotty, a knotted verse. Okay. You
So just a doubt, that is the second chapter, the grand title of the second chapter called Sankhya Yoga?
correct. Sankhya is this knowledge about the Atma.
Okay.
Yeah, Sankhya is a philosophy also, and this is the knowledge of it's entirely about the Atma.
So the two are different, right? The Sankhya philosophy, which we talk in yoga, asanas, and all, I don't know the roots of yoga, or is the same? Am I confused?
It is the same. So, but if you ask people, who's the origin of Sankhya, there could be some differences. Some people say Kapila Muni, and Kapila Muni is the son of Devahuti, right?
Yeah.
And she prays to Vishnu, and it's thought that Kapila Muni was born to Devahuti to teach the Sankhya philosophy. But they say that Sankhya is not the same as the one of the 6 Nyayas, the Sankhya philosophy. So there is, you ask different people, you get slightly different. But the Sankhya, it's mainly about the Atma.
Okay.
But there is some, if you ask different people, some will say, okay, what Kapila taught is the Sankhya philosophy. Some will say, no, it's slightly different. So there's all that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this thing, now there is no nasato vidyate bhavaha na bhavo vidyate asataha ubayorapi drishtontaha panayo tattvadarshibhihi. This is the shloka, and it's very confusing. The real has no there is no existence for the unreal, there is no non-existence for the real, and the ultimate truth is known by the seers. So what is the real and the unreal? This is the core of Vedanta. This is a very important topic. We saw the example of Atma Satya Jagat Mithya using the borrowed existence. This topic comes again and again and again throughout 18 chapters. Atma as independent existence. All other things in the world have dependent existence. Okay, we'll see many examples as we progress. Water is hot because the vessel is hot. Vessel is hot because fire is hot. Fire is hot because fire is hot. Fire is independent. Its heat is the nature of fire, whereas it is an incidental property for the water. Okay, so with this, there's so many other examples. Wave is essentially water. It is borrowed. It's there. It's gone. It is mithya, they call it. It is not real in the sense it is there, but it can be there and it will be gone next day. Similarly with pot can shatter into small pieces of clay. It's no more a pot. So it is called mithya. Similarly with the body can be there, it will decay and die. Atma is always there. Okay, so till this is everything clear? Atma Satya, Anatma or Jagat Mithya. Okay, any questions so far? I did a small recap to see, to make sure we are kind of grounded in the structure, because if we don't follow the structure, it can become very confusing, but it's very simple. First 6 chapters, same thing. It's all about Atma, then some about Karma Yoga, and about this Prayatna, especially in the 6th chapter, about the importance of meditation. It's all about Prayatna, individual effort. This is the content. Anybody has any questions, or can I get going? Okay, I'll get going. Now, there are 5 properties of the Atma that are described by Shankaracharya and Swami Paramatmananda very clearly outlines it. First is a very important property. We didn't clearly see it in the last class because shlokas so far, they don't talk about this. Aprameyaha. which means that which cannot be comprehended. Anything that you can experience in this world is not Atma. So another way to put this is, Atma is ever the experiencer, never the experienced. So if you experience something, it is not the Atma, which is why we saw, I showed an article, Atma is much more difficult to understand than Ishvara. Ishvara, you put a form, all that. Atma, it is aprameya. Okay. Then comes Avinashi. Vinasham means destruction. Avinashi, it is indestructible, eternal. All these we will see in the shlokas. These 5 topics, the next few shlokas, it will describe all this. Not in this order, but it's all mixed. Sarvagataha. Atma, it's all pervading. We saw the ocean example. It's everywhere there. Here and there, the waves come. Okay, so this Atma, it's all pervading. Nirvikaraha. Vikaram, so the word they can use it as like disfigured. It's in colloquial use in some, especially the southern languages. That's how it's used. But what it means is, Vikaram means change. Nirvikaram means changeless. It is just permanent, constant. That's why it's called real, because something which is real is there. It's always there. Which is unreal, it is there. Tomorrow it will look different. So it is unreal. That's why it's called mithya. Then the last important thing is very important thing. Atma is akarta and abhokta. It just sees. It's like light. It provides the illumination. We saw that example too. It provides the illumination, but it doesn't do any actions. It is akarta. Because it doesn't do any actions, karma does not accumulate on the Atma. It accumulates on the sukshma shariram. Okay, so this is a very important concept. Okay, now with this, we will go into the 17th verse. Avinashitu tat vidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinashamavyyasyasya na kaschit kartumarhati. Know that to be indestructible, by which all this is pervaded. No one can bring about the destruction of this changeless one. So I've underlined the words corresponding to the properties. Avinashi, we just saw that, cannot be destroyed. Avinashi tu tatvidhi. Know this to be indestructible. Yena sarvam idam tatam. Yena means by which. Sarvam, all. Idam, this. Tatam means pervaded. So this is all pervading. Vinasham means destruction. Avyayasya asya. Avyayam means changeless. So the destruction of this changeless, na kaschit kartum arhati. Nobody can do that. Kaschit, anybody. Anybody means nobody. Kartum arhati, cannot do. Okay. Atma is indestructible, all pervading, and also avyayam, so it is changeless. I forgot to underline this. So we come to the second property here, indestructible, avinashi. Then this is the eternal nature. It's another word used is eternal, because it's not destroyed, it's always there, and it's also changeless. The third property is sarvagataha, which means Atma has no boundaries. It can be confusing, especially in the yoga philosophy. They talk about different Atmas in us, but it's like the wave. It is the same water, but it takes a form as a wave. Now, the way in Vedanta, it is explained using this analogy. So you have a dark room, you have a hand, right? The light falls on this, like shown here. Now, when you move the hand, so without a reflecting object, even though the light is shining, it's dark. It's a dark room, black walls, everything. There's nothing to reflect on. Now, you put your hand in front of the light source, then you see the hand and the light the reflecting of the hand. Now, you move the hand like that. It looks like the light is moving, but actually the light is not moving. It is the hand that is moving. The light is always there, but it needs a reflecting medium to be able to see the light. Light is there everywhere, but we can only see light when there is a reflecting medium. So Atma, this they call it in Vedanta, it's called the consciousness. It is sarvagataha, all pervading. So this is an important topic. Is that clear? Anybody has any questions?
Yeah. Can you explain that one more time, please? So it's like, so does it mean that we say the light is everywhere, but then we want to keep the hand to see the reflection? But
Yeah.
if the light is everywhere, then every object should be
Yeah.
visible, no?
Okay, so it's a dark room, right?
Mhm.
You shine light. Light is there. It is there. All the photons are traveling through space. But can you see it? No. So you go outside in a dark, shine a flashlight at the sky.
Yeah.
Unless there is dust, you wouldn't be able to see light, right?
Okay, I get it.
So this is an important example that is used throughout Vedanta. So we've seen these two properties. So tick mark means we've seen these two. Avinashi, we saw it's not destructible. Sarvagataha. Now, the next property. Antavanta ime dehaha nityasyokta sharirinaha anashino prameyasya tasmat yuddhasya bharata. Okay, here nityaha, which means constant, not changing at all. These bodies of the embodied one is called the Dehi. Because it occupies the Deham. Deham is the body. Dehi is the indweller in the Deham. The bodies of the embodied one, which is not subject to change, which is not destructible, and which cannot be comprehended, are said to have an end. The end is there for the bodies, not for the Dehi. The Dehi is not subject to change, not destructible, and cannot be comprehended. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. So here we see two different properties, aprameyaha and nityaha. So we saw this, right? Aprameyaha, nityaha, it's nirvikara or changeless. It's constant, just like that. It's same day after day. Atma is constant and unchanging. The aprameya is a very powerful word. This is actually could be very confusing to you. If in the universe you are able to experience something, it is not the Atma. Simple rule. The Atma the consciousness cannot be experienced. And we're seeing these properties, right? A similar 5 properties are there for the Brahman, which is pretty much the same. And then there's this we'll see in the 9th chapter, and in the 13th chapter, which is the Antama Charama Shatkam, there are 5 properties for isness, or the existence, the consciousness, and it will be pretty much the similar thing. Krishna will talk about those things. So aprameya, even though it's the first property, it comes a little later. I've just preserved the order that Swami Paramatmananda has used. Atma is ever the experiencer, never the experienced. Therefore, Atma is aprameya, cannot be comprehended. The example I gave in the last class also is that of a camera. Camera takes pictures of everything, but never itself. What is the proof the camera exists? The pictures are the proof. So it's a little bit of this. This is how they give in Vedanta. Maybe they don't use camera; they use something else. But it's a little something to just ponder on. There is because it is aprameya. It's like that. Yes, Sumitra.
Anna, if Atma is the experiencer, then isn't Atma a bhokta? In the previous thing you had said,
Yeah,
it is neither
akarta and
karta
abhokta.
nor abhokta, because it's a little confusing. If he
Yeah,
is
so it's a
not,
very good point. Yeah, bhokta. Yeah, akarta abhokta. There, it means it is enjoying, which means it's reaping. So bhokta has that tense. Bhogi means somebody who's enjoying, he's thriving in the pleasure. Whereas Atma, very in Krishna actually will come to that. He uses the word, I am just very detached, just looking very in a detached way. Doesn't get sucked up. Once it gets sucked up, you get accumulating karma. You start accumulating karma. The karma accumulates on the sukshma shariram, not on the atma. Krishna says, udasinavat adasinam. He says that in the 9th chapter. I am just detached, udasin, just very casually, I'm just observing everything. Udasinavat adasinam. So what you raised is a very good point. Akarta, abhokta, but it's the experience. So maybe it's I'm just using the words that Swami Paramatmananda has used. Maybe there can be a better word to avoid the confusion. But very good
okay.
point.
But going back to that, that means Atma is not the bhogi though, because it doesn't have the joy or sorrow or any of those things, right? It's a neutral being.
It's like the light.
It's like,
illuminates. So that the light, does it enjoy anything? No.
no.
Yeah. So that is the example Vedanta gives. Always light.
It's the same.
We'll come to that very soon in another. Yes, Sumitra.
Sorry, I'm still a little confused. But without the Atma, this body is lifeless. We cannot experience joy or sorrow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. In the
who? So I'm a little confused. Who's experiencing it?
yeah.
Like, how do you?
Drashta Drishimatraha. So in the Yoga Sutras it says Drashta, he just sees. Shuddhopi, it's pure. Pratyaya Anupashya, the Pratyaya, the contents of the screen, Anupashya, and what's the purpose of the body? It's to provide bhoga and apavarga. Bhogavaparga argartam drishyam. So the body experiences, it provides, but it is the Atma, it's just a sakshi, witness. That's the words. These are the words they use. Sakshi. Sakshi Swarupam. The experience is happening in the body, but it's just witnessing. It's a little
Not attached to the
not attached.
experiences.
Yeah.
Just witnessing, but it is experiencing it, but
Yes.
not attaching itself.
Yes, not identifying with pain, pleasure, all that. Very good question. Okay. Nirvikaraha, we also saw it's changeless. So You can move the same thing, light in a dark room. You can move the hand like this. So all that, it's the hand that is changing the light. It is just constant. It is all pervading. Okay, so it is nirvikaraha. So we saw, so far we've seen 4 properties. And the last one we saw nirvikaraha, avinashi, aprameyaha. Last is akarta and abhokta. That we'll see soon. Ya enam veti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubau tau na vijanitaha nayam hanti na hanyate. Okay, here Krishna says the one who thinks that the Atma is the killer and the one who thinks that the Atma is the killed, they both do not know. This Atma neither kills nor is it killed. So it is akarta, very clearly kills akarta. Abhokta, it's not quite here. It's not killed, but later we'll see the abhokta part will also come. And yeah, so so Krishna tells this to Arjuna, and this is the 5th property, akarta abhokta. So I'm just using the words traditionally used. I don't want to, the problem is if I use a different word, I'm bringing in my limited understanding. So I'm just sticking with tradition using Swami Paramatmananda's words, akarta abhokta. It's very, very, very clearly illustrated in the 5th chapter. So as I said, the first 6 chapters cover these topics, Atma, Karma Yoga, and then Prayatna. Then in the 2nd chapter is like a overview chapter. 3rd is about Karma Yoga. 4th and 5th are about Jnana. So about this knowledge, and also the 6th one mainly talks about Prayatna, the effort, about meditation, how individual effort, yogi should control the mind, control of senses fully. It is the chapter on the yogi, quintessential chapter on yoga. Okay, now in the 5th chapter, which I said is on Jnana Yoga, which is continuation. So here in the 2nd is like a condensed version of Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, and the yogi. Then he expands this in the rest of the chapters. In the 5th chapter, it says, Na kartrutvam na karmani lokasya srijati prabhu na karma pala sanyogam swabhavastu pravartate. So I'm just bringing it early to illustrate this point. Atma does not create doership, not actions for anybody in the world. Kartrutvam, instigating to do something. Na karmani, it does not create actions, create doerships, not actions for anybody in the world. Lokasya srijati, srijati means kind of pushing. Prabhu, this Prabhu is the Lord. Prabhu is the Lord. Who Lord of the body is the Atma. So you would use these. Some of these words would be used little interchange. Prabhu also is Ishvara. And the next, na karma pala sanyogam swabhavas na karma pala sanyogam. It has, because it doesn't do anything. Only if you do, you reap fruits. Very clearly it says, na karma pala sanyogam. It's there. Then where does the karma pala sanyogam belong to? Swabhavastu pravartate. One's true nature leads to do all this. Very clearly it says. So I brought this earlier to illustrate, make it very clear, because the abhokta part could be very confusing. Okay. Now we come to the light example. Good and bad things happen in light, in the presence of lights. Robbery, somebody is committing robbery here. There's some light, there's robbery. There's also surgery happening. Without light, nothing can take place, but we can't blame light for robbery, nor is it praised for a complex surgery. So this is the example given in Vedanta. So we've seen all 5 properties of Atma. Now, we've kind of heard this. We will now, the same thing will continue in the next few shlokas. 11 through 25 is the most important. Anybody had a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Sorry. When so in the light example, where is the guna coming?
The guna is on the people. So the light, okay, the light, you can think of the light shining on the person as the Atma. The light is there everywhere too. Like I said, it's darkness, it's there. It's just, without light, this person cannot even move. They don't know where they will go, right? Because of the light, the person is moving, doing things. It is that energizing principle. The guna is a layer on the sukshma shariram, and this gets into more the subtler aspects of Vedanta, which is covered in Tattva Bodha. So there are different sukshma shariram, karana shariram, all that stuff.
Okay, we'll talk about it later, because the reason why I asked that is, we say that all the suffering, Atma doesn't have any emotion, nothing, but then all the suffering that we have is because of our own doing.
Correct.
So I'm trying to see, is that guna? That means...
Yes, guna, correct. It's the gunas which instigate people to do these actions. And every time you act or you think, there is a vasana or a samskara happening on the sukshma sharira, which you carry. And in the 15th chapter, it says, like a wind moving about, it just carries about from one life to other. Okay. Okay, so Anjana, you had a question last time. Where is the Trishtup meter? And here it is. Just when Krishna knows people, the Atma, people probably are zoning out. Arjuna was zoning out at this time. So here is the Trishtup meter. Whenever
just a question quickly. Trishtup meter has how many?
44 syllables.
44 syllables.
Yeah. 11, 11, 11, 11.
Okay, thank you.
Anushtup has 8, 8, 8, 8, 32. Okay. This is a very important shloka. So we'll chant at the end. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha ajo nitya shashvato yam puranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Okay, again, the same thing continues. This is actually a shloka which is chanted in funerals. It's considered one of the most important shlokas. This Atma na jayate, ja means birth. It is not born. Mriyate, it does not die. Va kadachit, anytime. Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyaha. Having come into existence, na I am means this. Having come in, na bhutva, having come into existence, it does not disappear again at other time. Bhavita vana bhuyaha. Then ajaha, it is unborn. Ajam means unborn. So here, Sanskrit, Swami Paramatmananda and other great upanyasis like Velukuri Krishnan, they will say, when you're studying Sanskrit, the worst thing to do is to look at the dictionary and find the meaning. It's a live language. It depends on the context. Ajaha means unborn. It refers to God. In Vishnu Sahasranam, Aprameyo, Rishikesha, Padmanabho, Maraprabhu, Ajaha, all this will come. Ajaha also means goat. So you have to use it in the right context. So Ajaha, then Nityaha, which is it's a constant or eternal. Shashvataha, unchanging. I am Puranaha, this is ancient. look at the word Purana, it's very ancient, and this is the thing that is in all of us, making us do things, giving us the existence and the consciousness. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. It does not perish. Hanyate, perish. Hanyamane sharire, when the shariram, body, perishes. Okay, so Atma is free from all modifications. It's called Nirvikara Atma. Shashvataha is that which undergoes no change. Is that clear? This is a very important shloka. Okay, so we've seen all of this. Okay, then Veda vinashinam nityam yayenamajam avyayam katham sapurusha partha kam gatayati hantikam. So Veda means to know. Veda avinashinam, to know that as indestructible. That's what it means. Veda avinashinam. Nityam. Nityam means constant, eternal. Yeah, enam ajam avyayam. So ajam means unborn, and avyayam is like decayless, not changing. So Veda vinashinam nityam enam ajam avyayam. Then comes the main portion. Katam sapurusha partha. How? Katam. How can sapurusha, that here purusha refers to that person, not to this purusha. This is also something you will see. The self, Atma, the word can refer to Atma and sometimes can refer to the person as home. In the 6th chapter, we'll see many such things. Atma eva hi atmano bandhuhu, Atma eva ripu atmanaha. Atma is a friend of the Atma. Atma is the enemy of the Atma too. Where Atma, one of them refers to the interior consciousness, other to the self. So, katam sapurusha partha kam gatayati hantikam. How come? How can that person kill somebody, or katam, so hantikam? How can they instigate to kill, and how? So this is what is said. Katam sa purusha partha kam gatayati. So who will that person kill, and hanti come, and how can that person kill, or either kill or instigate to be killed. Okay. Any questions here? So yeah, Sumitra.
So it is more or less very similar to the 2.19, where Atma is neither killer nor killed. So it's more or less a little repetitive.
Yeah, so Bhagavad Gita is full of repetitions again, and you'll see same shloka, portion of a shloka will be repeated. Here, when we come to the final portion, so he introduces meditation, and some of the words, samaloshtashma kanchanaha, it will be used in the 6th and also in the 14th chapter. Sama, for the yogi, loshta, ashma, kanchana is gold, loshta is mud, ashma, rock. So mud, rock, and gold. Sama, loshta, ashma, kanchana. For the yogi, all this is same. So you'll see a lot of these repetitions throughout the Bhagavad Gita, and in this chapter also, it's there is one verse which introduces, it's like a precursor to meditations. You'll see the exact same word being used. It'll say, Prashantatma vigatabi brahmachari vrate stitaha manas samyamya machitta Yukta asita matparaha. So Yukta asita matparaha, it will come here in this chapter and also in the 6th chapter. Okay. So yeah, that is the repetition. Krishna. So this is the difference between sutra and poetry. So in the Yoga Sutras, there are no repetitions. But here Krishna repeats so many times. Active, passive voice, everything. Okay, so I know Krishna knows it's like people are getting zoned out with this Atma. So another Trishtuk meter here comes. This is also a very important shloka. Vasansi jirnani yata vihaya navani grinnati naroparani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani sanyati navani dehi. Okay. Just as a person casts off worn out clothes and wears new ones, so too the dehi, when the body has worn off, just casts it away and takes a new one. Vasansi, jirnani yatha vihaya, Vasansi, clothes. Jirna means it's just decayed or even food getting digested, whatever. It's just used. Jirnani yatha vihaya means just cast off. Vihaya. Navani grunnati naro aparani. So Navani is new. So Naraha is person. Aparani is basically clothes. Grunati wearing new clothes. Tata sharirani vihaya jirnani. Shariram. So the sharira is cast off after it's been used. Anyani sanyati, another new sharira, it'll enter. What will enter? The dehi will enter. Anyani sanyati, navani dehi, a new sharira. It'll enter. Nava is new. Okay, so a few more minutes. Now, also the final, we are entering the final portion of this Atma knowledge, Atma Vidya, 11 to 25. So the last three, it says invincibility against all the weapons and the elements of nature. Okay. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapah, na shoshayati marutaha. Okay. Chindanti means cut asunder. Shastrani, weapons. Shastra is weapon. Shastra is knowledge. So a good ruler, it is said, should have an understanding of both Shastra and Shastra. Okay. And also, do you know who's the greatest wielder of weapons? Krishna, do you know who he calls out to be the greatest wielder of weapons? Anybody wants to take a guess?
Arjuna?
Arjuna?
No. So, Ramaha Shastrabhrutam Aham. Of all the people who wielded weapons, Krishna comes Rama as the greatest wielder. Shastra. Do you know the difference between Shastra and Astra? Shastra is something which is held, like a bow, the greatest, or even a sword. So it's a Shastra. Astra is something you fire, often with a spell incantation, which gives even an ordinary arrow can be made into a Brahmastra with the invocation of a Devata. Okay, so Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, no weapon can cut cut this Atma. Nainam Dahati Pavakahai, Pavaka, fire cannot burn it. Daha, it's just burn. Pavakaha is fire. Nachainam Kledayanti Apaha. Apa is water. Kleda literally means wet. Here you can think of it as drowning. It cannot be drowned. Na shoshayati marutaha. Maruti is wind god, right? Marutaha is Vayu, wind. Shoshayati means dry. Remember, I think Sumitra asked me this question. Uchoshanam, in the beginning, so Krishna says, all my senses, Uchoshanam indriyanam, yachokam uchoshanam indriyanam. My shoka is so great that it is just drying my senses. And then I think, Sumitra, you asked a question. So is it placed aptly in a certain sequence? Same thing, shoshayati martaha, drying. The wind cannot dry it. So there is the fifth. So there is earth, fire, water, wind, and then there is space. Space is just, it just contains everything. So it does, it's like udasina vatadasinam. It doesn't do anything. So these are the ones that can cause damage. The 5 elements, the last one is the space. Okay, space is not mentioned here. Achedyoyam adahyoyam akledyo shoshya evacha nitya sarvagatastanuhu achaloyam sanatanaha. Krishna is just repeating Atma. Achedyoyam cannot be cut. Adah dahati, burnt. It cannot be burnt. Akledyo ashocha evacha. So it cannot be wet, it cannot be dried. Ashocha evacha. Nityaha sarvagataha. It is changeless. Nityam, changeless. It's exactly like that. Sarvagataha, all pervading. Stanuhu. There's also a name, Stanunathan. Stanunath. It's means stable. So God, Shiva is called Stanunathan because you can rely on Shiva. Achaloyam, unmoving. A mountain is called Achalam because it is unmoving. And eternal, Sanatanaha. So the belief, it's what people know as Hinduism, it's actually Sanatana Dharma. It is eternal Dharma. Okay? So these are, this is to show that the Atma cannot be destroyed by the elements. And then comes the final shloka. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanushochitumarhasi. The Atma is avyaktam. It is unmanifest, therefore it is imperceptible. Again, the same thing. Aprameyaha, it cannot be comprehended because it is avyaktam, unmanifested. It is imperceptible. And this Atma, achintyoyam. Chinta means you think about it. Achintyo means it's inconceivable. Avikaryoyam, vikara we saw, it is change. So Atma is unchangeable. And tasmad evam viditvenam. Having known this to be so, na anushochitum arhasi. Na is not, anushochitum, grieve, arhasi is a verb. Okay, so this completes the first portion, the Atma Vidya of the Jnana Yoga. The Jnana Yoga will continue from 26 to 39, where Krishna uses hypothetical arguments, then call of duty, all that stuff. After that, it will continue into Karma Yoga, because Krishna clearly would see that Arjuna is, he's not able to make sense or tangible sense of this. So his mind needs to calm. Then he talks about Karma Yoga, and then finally about Sthita Prajna. So Tejuji asked me a question. The person of wisdom, Krishna, Arjuna asked how he behaves, does he experience grief, all that stuff Krishna talks about. Okay, so that completes the class. We will do the chanting. So are you all up for chanting? Yeah?
Yeah.
Who wants to? So we have to start with 17 today. Who wants to go first?